Zach Parkinson wants to draw right up behind Ty Stansfield. And, of course, now everyone's going to play follow the leader out onto the circuit. But, of course, they're going to do half a lap and they're going to pull over at the side of the circuit and do their own thing. Here we go. So nearly everybody coming straight out. I think it's like there's one or two drivers. Sam Faulkner was one of them, and possibly the number 6 car of Dan Walden, who I said was so good in practice yesterday. They decided to sit and wait. So here we go out onto the circuit. Let's have a little look. Who was late to join the fray? I think well, we have 12 drivers out there at the moment. Yeah, Dan Walden and Sam Faulkner are preferring to sit and wait because there's no, you don't have to go straight out. It's a 10-minute qualifying session. You can do with that 10 minutes what you want. There on the screen, number 2, championship leader Matthew Pearce. Looking to make it 2 wins out of 2 in that predominantly white crash helmet with the red splodge on the top of it. I'm sure you'd appreciate me calling it a splodge. Probably paid a fair few quid to get that helmet design. But here he comes across the start-finish straight. Got the start-finish line even down towards Billy's. Looks like it is the number 304 car of Sam Cunliffe behind him. Wait for the tyres to get fully warmed up, and showing the way early doors is number 175 Patrick Lay, 35.204 seconds. There is Lay being passed by Sam Cunliffe, so I think he actually let Cunliffe go. That's number 197 by the way. So it's actually Dave Burns letting Cunliffe go. And so it's Lay at 35.150. Ty Stansfield is second at 35.174. Then Pearce 35.444. Cunliffe at 35.464. And Snape at 35.686. And it's Stanley just moves into the top 5 with a time of 35.583, and Ty Stansfield at 35.002 in kart number 3. You can see that, a bit of an oversteer there for Sam Cunliffe coming into the horseshoe. The back end wanted to sort of turn around and swap places with the front as he came into that corner, and well, he now moves up to 3rd place. That was actually Cunliffe's best lap so far. He's down to 4th now as Pearce goes 2nd at 35.291. There goes Sam Faulkner out onto the track. Still, we have not yet seen number 6 Dan Walden going out onto the track. There is Faulkner, the first time we've seen him all season here in the DRS series. Goes missed Rissington. So this is a 4-round championship, the best 3 out of 4 scores rounds to count. So you can afford to miss 1 round and not have your championship hopes derailed, which of course in this current climate is absolutely crucial because there are, as I said earlier, mentioned Morgan Cole not being here. There are quite a few drivers that cannot participate just because of where they live in the country at the moment, and the various restrictions that are being placed on them or on their regions at the moment. So the drivers that are here, they know that next round it could be them that can't attend, so they want to try and take full advantage of the fact they are racing. Halfway through this session now, it's still Stansfield. Oh, he's got 200ths of a second to make up before he can get into the 34-second bracket. There goes Faulkner across the line, around the S's. finally we can see the number 6 kart of Dan Walden is the 14th and final kart to join the circuit. So Walden now goes out halfway through the session, so the track will be nicely warm for him. He's probably going to do just, 3 or 4 flying laps and save his tyres for later. There is the Billy's blind. Number 3 kart of Stansfield. Stansfield now down to second because Patrick Lay in kart number 175 becomes the first driver to get into the 34s. 34.940 for Lay. So Stansfield, looking at on your screens now, with that predominantly black race suit, a 35.002 for Stansfield in kart number 3. He comes out of top bend, across the start finish line, and you can see now that's where the track veers left, and then you've got to set yourself up for this double apex right through Billy's blind. Now over the curbs, using a lot of curve through the S's. You've got to hit those curves just at the right moment. Down Sturmey Straight, the back end wants to step out on you. Down Sturmey Straight as you turn into the hairpin, and there's a little dip on the inside of the hairpin which sort of throws you round into the short straight before the horseshoe. And then now this is the really, really flat part of the track, the top part of the circuit into top bend. Now you begin, you can't see it on camera now, but this is downhill, across the start finish line, into Billy's once again, just over half a minute. And apart from that little bit of respite on Sturmey Straight, you spend the entire lap either cornering or setting the kart up at the exit of one corner for a run into the next one. Is Sam Cutler, there's number 175 kart of Patrick Lay, just coming through the horseshoe there. So it's still Lay fastest of all. That Motorsport Valley MSV thing on the back of his race suit. There on your screen is the provisional poles with the Lay coming to complete another lap, and he's pulling over to he lets Mark Lawrence in the number 8 kart and the number 7 kart of Zach Parkinson go through. Sam Faulkner already at the 3rd fastest, so at the moment it's Lay, Stansfield, Faulkner, then Pierce, Cunliffe and Stanley. But Sam Faulkner has come out, he's done 4 flying laps, did a 35.078 and has pitted. Matthew Pierce has also made a pit stop, and so has Sam Cunliffe. Dan Walden now up into 6th position on his 3rd flying lap. So I think the tyres are good for maybe 3 or 4 real quick laps before they start to lose their optimum grip. There's number 312 kart of Tom Snape flashing across your screens there. He is down in 10th place. So the order at the moment is Lay, Stansfield, Faulkner, Pierce, Cunliffe, your top 5. Then Walden, Stanley, Elaine, Rigg and Snape, your top 10. Lawrence 11th, Parkinson 12th, Watt 13th, and Burns 14th. But only half the drivers are still on circuit. The rest have already gone back to the pit lane. Their session is over. Patrick Lay, I suppose, just as an insurance policy, he's not going particularly quickly at the minute. In fact, he's going around in 39-second laps, but he wants to be on track. He's getting a slipstream from Tom Snape there. He wants to be on track to answer the threat of anyone, just in case somebody pops up. At the moment, Dan Walden, I suppose, is his nearest threat of the drivers that are still on track. There goes Walden through your screens now. At the moment, Walden is 6th, but will Walden improve this time around? The answer is no. He stays in 6th position, and I think that with over a minute to go, that probably we've seen the best out of everybody so far. Elaine in 8th place, 8th fastest, is still on track at the moment in kart 308, as is Rigg, who is 9th fastest. Snape, watching now, 10th fastest overall, but he's 0.8 of a second slower than Patrick Lay, who has now pitted the number 175 kart. So Lay, Stansfield, Faulkner, Pierce and Cunliffe, the top 5, they've all pitted. Their session is over, and it's down to the drivers at the lower reaches of the field to maybe pop up and snatch a top 5 spot if they can in the final 30 seconds. But it looks as though the Snape now pits. Nobody improving their times at the minute, so I think that Patrick Lay may have done just enough as the seconds tick down. Lawrence in kart number 8, you can see he's still on track. He is 11th at the moment, and he's got his hand in the air as the session draws to an end. So time qualifying in DRS125. Indeed, time qualifying. Second round of the 2020 Daniel Ricciardo series is in the history books. Patrick Lay, provisionally your pole sitter from Ty Stansfield, Sam Faulkner, Matthew Pearce, our championship leader, fourth, and Sam Cunliffe rounding out the top five. Dan Walden, yesterday's pace setter, sixth quickest, followed by Elliot Stanley, Corey Allain, Jack Rigg and Tom Snape, with Mark Lawrence, Zach Parkinson, Carl Watt and Dave Burns rounding out the DRS125 order. Less than a second separating 13 of the 14 entrants. But there on the, just looking down at the front of his cart, there is the number 175 car, Patrick Lay, a runner-up last time around at Ricciardo. And he starts from pole position here. A rundown of the grid is as follows. Patrick Lay starts from pole position alongside Ty Stansfield in cart number 3. On row 2 is where you find last year's champion Sam Faulkner in cart number 1 and current championship leader in cart number 2, Matthew Pearce. Sam Cunliffe and Dan Walden are on row 3. That's Cunliffe's best performance yet in DRS125. Elliot Stanley and Corey Allain start on row number 4, with Jack Rigg and Tom Snape on row 5. Mark Lawrence and Zach Parkinson go from row 6. Carl Watt and Dave Burns round out the field of 14. So it's the smallest grid we've got here this weekend, but a grid absolutely chock full of talent. Once again, for those of you joining us karting here for the first time, drivers wearing single digits on their cart. That is where they finished last year's DRS125 championship. So you can see the number 1 plate on Faulkner's cart, Matthew Pearce wearing cart number 2, the 3 of Ty Stansfield. What else we've got there? We've got the 6 of Dan Walden, the 7 of Zach Parkinson, the 8 of Mark Lawrence. So 6 of last year's top 10 in the standings are back this year. Led at the moment by number 175, Patrick Lay, a runner-up in the final at Ricciardo, and a runner-up, and at the moment, second in the championship behind Pearce. But like Sam Faulkner said, all about consistency. That is what all these drivers need. Well, Faulkner, he said he's going to be going to France for 6 months, and depending on the quarantine regulations at the time, that will have an impact on whether or not we see him for the rest of the season or not. Regardless, he's missed a round already, so every single point he scores from here on in, he's going to be racing as though he can compete in all 3 rounds. He has got to score well. He cannot afford to have one bad weekend. Some of the drivers at Ricciardo not here this weekend. They'll be using this as their mulligan, as it were. So let's now try and have the 3rd good race. We've had 2 races so far. At the end of this race, we will have a break for lunch, and then this afternoon we will be into the pre-finals and the grand finals themselves. So now watch and wait for the drivers that they'll have 2 rolling laps. Into 8-minute plus 1 lap heat race. Round the horseshoe formation at the moment looks good. Patrick Lay in cart number 175, Ty Stansfield in cart number 3 on row number 1, then cart number 1 of Sam Faulkner, and driver number 2, Matthew Pearce, on row 2. Into top bend. Patrick Lay has the field at his mercy. Into the tram lines we go, lights are out, we're off and racing. It's a good start from Ty Stansfield from the outside of row number 1. Can he stay ahead? Oh, in the middle of the pack there's a problem, and 2 drivers, 3 drivers. Sam Cunliffe is one of them, and who is that went headlong into the tyres? That is number 197, Dave Burns, who, and the driver, and Patrick Lay, our pole man, has spun. Sam Faulkner is also down at the hairpin. And disastrous start here for a lot of the leading contenders. I'm going to try and figure out who, I think it might have been driving the 312, Tom Snape, who spun. You can see some damage there on the number 1 cart of Sam Faulkner. Yellow flags waving on the approach to Billy's blind. So it looks like Ty Stansfield has held on to the race lead. Well, he lost it briefly because Patrick Lay managed to take the lead early, but then at this corner a lap ago, Lay, and it looks as though Lay and Sam Faulkner had some sort of territorial dispute, and both spun. Dan Walden there in number 6 is up in the 2nd place. 3rd is Matthew Pierce, but down at the very first corner, it looked like it was Tom Snape in cart number 312 that spun, and then Dave Burns behind him. Well, Sam Cunliffe spun in avoidance, and Sam Cunliffe managed to keep it out of the tyres, but Dave Burns hit the rear end of Snape's cart and was vaulted over the rear of the cart and hit the tyres head on. He did take a bit of he's been winded. He is up and out of the cart now. The cart is in the tyre barriers. Also, I noticed that the number 312 cart of Tom Snape, the rear axle on that cart was severely bent, and we can see there now we have a red flag situation. So Snape is out of his cart, standing by a marshal's post. Now, what will this mean? So we were on lap 2, we were on lap 3 of an 8-minute heat. The red flags have come out. The drivers bringing themselves to a standstill. Now you can see that Faulkner's got some damage to the front end of his number 1 cart, the nose cone. So obviously he and Patrick Lay, who was leading the race at the time, had an issue down at the hairpin. But significantly, so Dave Burns, he's out of his cart now. Of course, there's a lot of family members and friends watching back home. The cart is buried in the tyre barriers. So let's try again. Take 2 for DRS125. Patrick Lay at the front of the field, alongside Patrick, it will be number 3, Ty Stansfield. Sam Faulkner and Matthew Pierce on row 2, although Faulkner will be starting from Le Rear. He's going to France. We've got it, yeah. Le Rear, Le Derrière. That's the back of the grid, the bottom of the grid. Now, are we going to get a start this first time of asking 12 drivers? Formation looks good. Patrick Lay in cart number 175. Away we go. It's another good start from Lay. This time Stansfield doesn't get away quite as quickly. Down towards Billy's. Let's have a look. Are they all going to get through cleanly? Yes, they do this time. A little bit more circumspect, I think, was the word there. Now, you see Patrick Lay looking over his shoulder. This is where he probably had a tap from behind in the first start. Everyone through the hairpin cleanly up towards the horseshoe. It is Lay who it leads from the number 2 cart of Matthew Pierce. Dan Walden, another good start from Dan Walden up into 3rd position. Actually, it is Pierce, or is it Stansfield in 2nd? Let's have a look this time by. So Ty Stansfield has dropped back to 5th position there at the end of lap number 1. It's Lay from Pierce, from Walden. Cunliffe up at the 4th place. Stansfield is 5th. Then it is Elaine, Stanley, Faulkner, Lawrence, Watt, Parkinson and Rigg, your 12 runners. Out of there, there's Sam Cunliffe in cart number 304. He defends going into the hairpin, and pretty soon, well, he's got Ty Stansfield right behind him, and closing in on them is number 308 of Corey Lane. Corey Lane is going to have the number 1 plate cart of Sam Faulkner knocking on his door very soon, and there he goes. Sam Faulkner picks up a position, so that is now from the back of the grid up into 6th position for Sam Faulkner. Elaine runs in 7th. Up at the front, Patrick Lay leads by over half a second from Matthew Pierce, and there you can see in front of Faulkner there, Cunliffe and Stansfield side by side, and Stansfield has got past Cunliffe. Signals him there. Okay, let's go. There's Mark Lawrence to the inside of, I think that was Mark Lawrence inside of number 279, Elliot Stanley. Around the horseshoe goes Stansfield in 4th position. Cunliffe behind him in 5th. Faulkner in 6th. The 3 leaders, Lay, Pierce and Walden, are a second up the road already. 6 minutes remaining. Good battle for second developing between Pierce and Walden. But Patrick Lay at the moment managed to keep everybody at arm's length. Now onto the Sternly straight we go. Now there's the number 3 cart of Stansfield in 4th, followed by the 304 of Cunliffe in 5th, and the number 1 plate of Faulkner in 6th. turn 6 into top bend now. Behind them, Elaine holding off Stanley for 7th place. Lawrence is 9th, Watt is 10th, Parkinson 11th, and Rigg in 12th place. Into Billy's. And Cunliffe, you see, running a little bit wide, going into the corner, and Faulkner able to get that kart to the inside, and also gets a good run onto Stirling Straight. He looks to the inside, passes Sam Cunliffe for 5th position. And now Sam Faulkner sets his sights on the number 3 plate kart, Ty Stansfield. Or Tyrone Stansfield, I think is full name, but Ty. He's running 4th at the moment. So Faulkner across the line to complete lap number 5, going to lap number 6. Behind him, there's the battle for 7th place on screen. The 308 kart of Corey Elaine. Again, Corey having his best season so far in the DRS series. Currently sits 6th in the championship. No, make that 5th in the championship. In the top 6 finish of the final at Rissington. At the moment he's running 7th, trying to hold off Elliot Stanley behind. Stanley in the number 279 kart, running in 8th place. Behind, a second behind Stanley in 9th is Mark Lawrence in kart number 8. Then it is Carl Watt in kart number 298, Zach Parkinson in kart number 7, and Jack Rigg in kart number 316. Elaine, head down, just trying to keep himself hunched behind the kart, trying to create maximum aerodynamic efficiency. This battle is on your screen is 3 seconds behind race leader Patrick Lay. Patrick Lay 1.3 seconds in front of Matthew Pearce at the moment. Pearce has only got a couple of kart lengths in hand over Dan Walden. There they go, they flash through the screen now as they come around top bend to complete another lap. But then Stansfield's going to be under pressure from Sam Faulkner now. Faulkner's going to get a really good run down the main start-finish straight. He's not quick enough to get to the inside coming into Billy's this time, but he's going to get a good run out of the S. You can see how much tighter. Oh, there, I said about the curbs, and Faulkner hit the curb wrong there. You can see a bit kart getting a bit airborne there, bouncing across the lines, unsettled the kart, and that meant that even though he was getting a good run out of Billy's blind, he wasn't quick enough then onto Stirling Straight to make a move going into the hairpin. Now Faulkner's going to get an even better slipstream onto the main straight, onto the start-finish straight now. Let's see if he looks to the inside coming out of the top bend. He is at the moment on the inside. He's going to tuck back in now. Now will he duck out to make a move going into Billy's blind? Yes, he does. And Sam Faulkner moves into 4th position. Stansfield gets a good run through the S's, and he's going to get a nice run down to Stirling Straight, but he's not close enough to try and repass going into the hairpin. They are actually both closing in on the number 6 kart and number 2 kart. So Dan Walden in kart number 6 has just got past Matt Pearce. So Matthew Pearce down to 3rd position in kart number 2 now. And you can just see the leader escaping off the corner of your screen. Patrick Lay in kart number 175 has got nearly a 2-second lead over the next karts. As we go into Billy's blind once again. So what Faulkner is going to do now, Faulkner should close in on the number 6 kart and the number 2 kart, but Stansfield will be doing all he can to stay in Faulkner's slipstream so that Faulkner can sort of drag him round, and that's what he's doing. He's about 5 or 6 kart lengths behind Faulkner, but Stansfield is still close enough just to copy Faulkner's lines, and Faulkner give him a tow, and he's going to try, in the last 2 minutes plus a lap of this race, he's going to try and get towed up to the battle for 2nd place. Here's your race leader, Patrick Lay, unmolested out front. He goes into the hairpin. Walden holding off Pearce with Faulkner and Stansfield closing in. Cunliffe runs in 6th position, and it's Elaine still 7th, Stanley still 8th, Lawrence 9th, Watt 10th, Parkinson and Rigg the remaining order. So no real changes of position down the order. The question is, and you can see Matthew Pearce just checking over his shoulder to see how much closer Faulkner is. The good news for Pearce is that Faulkner is not within slipstream range just yet. But if he carries on lapping as quick as he is, that will change. We go down Stirling Straight on lap number 12, just over a minute remaining, and Stansfield critically is still being towed around by Faulkner, so that when Faulkner does catch Pearce, we're going to have a 4-kart battle for 2nd place, with Stansfield holding on for dear life. Now Dan Walden holding on to P2 at the moment. Pearce isn't close enough to look up the inside coming into Billy's, and a little bit of understeer through the middle of the corner there for Matthew Pearce, and you can see that hasn't helped him through the S's. You saw Pearce's car, the front end just washed out from under him when he wanted to be sort of like turning and getting on the power, going through Billy's blind. That's going to affect his chances of not only passing Dan Walden, but it's going to affect his chance of keeping Faulkner out of reach, because Faulkner gets a better run on this lap. Faulkner's closing in, and pretty soon Matthew Pearce is going to have to turn his attention from attack to defence. 20 seconds to go. We're on to lap number 14 now. Let's see again, and this time Matthew Pearce does a better job of hooking the right front corner of the kart onto the inside curb coming through Billy's, and he's checking over his shoulder. He knows that Faulkner is closing in. Now, Sam Faulkner, if he's going to make a move, he's going to try and make a quick, decisive move so that he doesn't get held up. I think Patrick Lay is going to be coming around to start the last lap pretty soon, but Faulkner could get one shot at it. Looks like Stansfield may not quite be close enough as we start the final lap. Lap number 15, Patrick Lay leads by over 4 seconds now from Dan Walden. Walden into Billy's, holding off Pearce. Again, Pearce understeer mid-corner there for the driver of kart number 2. Faulkner, eyes on the prize. The prize at the moment is the current championship leader, Matthew Pearce, for 3rd place in this race. Into the horseshoe. Time running out, however. The laps tick by very, very quickly here at Clay Pigeon. The leader is already around top bend. Patrick Lay, checkered flag awaits. Great win for Patrick. Who's going to hold on to, well, it's going to be Walden holding on to 2nd. Pierce does keep Faulkner at bay for 3rd, with Stansfield completing the top 5. Sam Cunliffe, good result for Sam in 6th position. Corey Lane in 7th. 8th for Stanley. 9th for Lawrence. Then it was Carl Watt, Zach Parkinson and Jack Rigg rounding out the 12 finishers in DRS125. Sadly, of course, we saw Tom Snape and Dave Burns fail to finish that race, but they will get their karts hopefully repaired for the pre-final. So here's the grid for DRS125, the pre-Grand Prix. Patrick Lay and Dan Walden on row 1. Matthew Pearce and Sam Faulkner on row 2. Ty Stansfield and Sam Cunliffe share row 3. Row 4 is Corey Lane and Elliot Stanley. Row 5, Mark Lawrence and Carl Watt. Row 6 is Zach Parkinson and Jack Rigg. And now hopefully Tom Snape and Dave Burns, who had that incident at the start of the heat race. I can see number 312 kart of Snape is there. Now, Burns was getting checked out by the paramedics during the lunch break. Wait to see if we have the driver of kart number 197 out. I don't think we do for this one. Hopefully he'll be, maybe get clearance to race in the final, though the medical team are having a look at him. Well, he was okay, but I mean, he may be done for the day, is Dave Burns. We shall see, but he's certainly not out in this one. So there is Patrick Lay just chatting away with the number 2 kart championship leader, Matthew Pearce. So they'll be starting 1st and 3rd. The outside row of the grid, you've got the number 6 of Dan Walden. You can just off camera there, standing out of his kart, and then it's the driver of the black race suit, predominantly black race suit, Ty Stansfield there in kart number 3. Foot on the tyre, just waiting to go. Not the drivers. Some of them get in nice and early into the seats so they can focus. Others prefer to not get into the last possible moment. So it'll be 13 karts by the looks of it for this race. And this is the last pre-Grand Prix. At the end of this race, we will be in to the finals themselves. So a very quick turnaround time here in the DRS series. So Patrick Lay settles himself down into his kart now. Dan Walden just on the outside of on the right of your screens in kart number 6. See Walden, who did not have a great time at Rissington, only finished 9th in the final. He's 9th in the championship, but has been, you know, potential race-winning form here today. So he's going to want to be picking it there. The defending champion, Sam Faulkner. Where is the number 1 card? Let's have a look. 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I can only count 12 carts. I've never been accused of being the sharpest knife in the drawer. We did have 14 carts. We've got 12 carts on our screens there. I wonder if there's a problem with the number 1 plate cart of Faulkner. And he is not out there either. He should be starting from 4th on the grid. But he ain't, isn't, will not be. Faulkner not out there. So the defending champion making his seasonal debut here at the moment is missing. So is Dave Burns. And there's number 312. Great effort to get Tom Snape's kart back out there. It's obviously got a new rear axle in it. Probably a few other new components as well. Because when a rear axle is bent the shape of a banana, it normally means that other various bearings and things like that have gone the same way. So we'll have 2 rolling laps, and then it'll be an 8-minute plus 1 lap heat race pre-final for the DRS125 karts. Here we go, into the horseshoe, the second and final rolling lap. 12 drivers in the 125 class, DRS 125, led by Patrick Lay and Dan Walden. Row 2, you have Matthew Pearce and Ty Stansfield. 8 minutes, 850 meters per lap. Clay Pigeon Raceway, we're off and racing. It's a good start from Dan Walden. Patrick Lay was a little bit slow to get going there, but now he's got the inside line for the run into Billy's blind. Hangs on to top spot. All 12 drivers round turn 1 cleanly. Now down towards the hairpin at the end of Sturmey Straight on lap number 1. There's the number 304 kart of Sam Cunliffe. Into 4th position. There's a move for 2nd, so Walden moving past Matthew Pearce for P2. And that does mean that Patrick Lay is able to make an early break. It's Lay from Waldron. Then Pearce, Cunliffe in 4th, Corey Lane up into 5th position. Stansfield not been making very good starts today as Ty Stansfield. He's down to 6th. Lawrence is 7th. Snape already up to 8th. Parkinson 9th. Watt 10th. Rigg 11th. And Elliott Stanley down to 12th. There's number 3 of Ty Stansfield now trying to work over Sam Cunliffe, who in turn is trying to get past number 308 kart of Corey Lane. And Lane is not letting Cunliffe have his way. It does mean the top 3 are beginning to pull away, but Corey Lane, don't forget, he had his best ever result with a 6th place finish at Rissington. He is, at the moment, 2 places better than that. He's up at the P4, so he's going to try and defend as often as he can. He's thinking to himself, yeah, I'm looking for my personal best result. You know, he checks over his shoulder, now down the Sturmey Straight, defends. Cunliffe having to defend against the number 4 kart. Oh, it's Cunliffe having to defend against the number 8 kart of Mark Lawrence. Lawrence in 6th position, so Lawrence has got past Stansfield. Stansfield down to 7th. Snape there in the white race suit in kart number 312. He runs in 8th place. Now Stansfield checks out from behind Lawrence. He's on the outside line for the run into Billy's blind, and Lawrence easily holds him off. Sam Cunliffe, no, has got to get his head down because Corey Lane has pulled out a little bit of a gap on this group. So the back you're looking at is for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th on screen. Corey Lane runs 4th, just in front of them. It's Cunliffe in 5th, Lawrence in 6th, then the number 3 kart of Stansfield in 7th, and the 312 of Snape in 8th. Behind them, it's the number 298 kart of Carl Watt, who runs in 9th. Then it's Zach Parkinson, 10th in kart 7. Jack Rigg, 11th in kart 316, and Elliot Stanley, 12th in kart 279. No change up front. Patrick Lay continues to lead the race by 1.3 seconds from Walden and Pierce. And it's the 308 of a lane. You can see that Cunliffe has been able to hold off the pressure from Mark Lawrence at the moment. Lawrence has got his hands full with Ty Stansfield and Tom Snape. We head around top bend. 5 minutes plus a lap to go. There's Cunliffe checking over his shoulder again. Takes a normal line into Billy's. Lawrence runs a little bit wide. Will Stansfield be able to pounce? Not into the S's, he won't. He gets a good run onto Sturmey straight. Lawrence is going to be defending, but no, he's not defending actually. It's Cunliffe who's a little bit more defensive, and that allows Lawrence to stay within striking distance. Lawrence didn't defend there. Here's the battle on screen though for second place. Number 6, Dan Walden, and number 2, Matthew Pierce. They are, well, they're 2 seconds in front of Corey Elaine, who runs in 4th place. Walden in the 6th, Pierce in the 2. Into Billy's we go, around that long, fast right-hander. Into the S's, and then spits you out onto the Sturmey straight. Now, set the kart up for that inside dip around the hairpin. Flings you out of the outside line. You're going to scramble back across, take the outside line for the run into the double apex left at the horseshoe. Come out wide from the horseshoe. Just doesn't matter, you know, flat out through turn number 6. Then set yourself up on the outside for a run through top bend, and then now you're back onto the start-finish straight, which, as you said, is one big left-hand bend downhill. You come around the left-hand little kink, just past the start-finish line. Then you set yourself up for the run into the fast right at Billy's, and that is another lap of Clay Pigeon in the books. One corner leads into another corner, leads into another corner. Fantastic momentum-based circuit. The drivers, although it's short, the drivers do tend to like this track a lot because of the type of racing it produces, and the fact that, yeah, you know, you can make a breakaway as Patrick Lay is doing, but also there's, you know, a lot of times you see races boiling down to a group of karts battling over the win at the end of it, like you saw in DRS62, and like we're seeing for, well, the minor placings in DRS125. 3 minutes to go. Walden still keeping Pierce at bay. The gap to the race leader now growing to 2.8 seconds as Patrick Lay did exactly what Thomas Harvey did in the DRS 100 class. He's now just controlling the pace nicely. He's not overusing his tyres. He's maybe probably keeping a little bit in hand just in case he needs it before the day is over. But at the moment, Patrick Lay has been, I'd say, almost head and shoulders above the rest of them in terms of outright race pace, as he bids to try and overhaul that driver in kart number 2 in the championship point standings. Into the horseshoe we go. Walden, who finished yesterday as the fastest man in practice, and at the end of the day yesterday there's like a 15-minute practice session, 12-minute practice session to almost replicate a race distance, and in that Dan Walden was the quickest of all. So we've lost Zach Parkinson, we've lost Elliot Stanley, so we're down to 10 drivers at the moment. Carl Watson, I think we got to a stage where maybe 1 or 2 drivers at the back of the field are now starting to think to themselves, well, there's no real point in carrying on. I'm going to be starting on the 5th or 6th row. Let's save the tyres a little bit. There is coming in 4th. Here is Stansfield battling with Snape in kart number 312. That is for 7th and 8th place, or sorry, from 6th and 7th place. Mark Lawrence in kart 8 is just behind them in 8th. Then it is Watt and Rigg. They're the only 2 other karts running, so we've lost Parkinson and Stanley to the pits. They're perhaps going to save their equipment for the final. There is Tom Snape, of course, had a DNS in the first heat. He obviously took the start, got involved in that accident. Of course, the race was completely restarted without Snape and Dave Burns, which is why he's classified as a did not start. So he does need to keep going and try to get as many points as possible. 45 seconds to go. Here's Mark Lawrence chasing Ty Stansfield around Billy's. Stansfield in turn chasing Snape. Snape in turn is chasing Cunliffe. And Cunliffe is 2 seconds behind Corey Lane, who's having his best drive so far. 4th place in kart number 308 for Corey Lane. There briefly is the scrap for second. There is Elaine in 4th. Walden still is P2. Pierce is P3. They're nearly 5 seconds now behind it. And there's a move. Pierce looked to the inside briefly, but then backed out of it. Coming into Billy's on lap number 14. The race clock is about to strike 0. Next time about, they'll get the last lap board. Patrick Lay commanding lead. Walden and Pierce second and third. Can kart 2 move into P2 before the end of the next lap? We'll be starting the last lap very soon. Lay flashing across the start-finish line now. He's into his final lap. Around Billy's he goes, untroubled from behind, through the S's. Walden has got it. Well, he's kept Pierce at bay there on the run into Billy's. Next question is, can the number 6 driver keep Pierce, who gets sideways? Pierce all crossed up coming out of the S's. That was giving it maximum attack and just overcooked it on the curbs ever so slightly. And that has given Dan Wall just a couple of kart lengths of breathing space. And I think that's given him just enough breathing space to hang on to P2. But Patrick Lay comes across the start-finish line. He takes the checkered flag. There he goes. Now we wait for Dan Wall to finish in second. And eventually, he does it quite comfortably. Pierce comes home in third. A best ever result for Corey Lane in 4th position. And then the battle of 5th is won by Sam Cunliffe. Snape finishes in 6th. Stansfield comes home in 7th. Behind Stansfield, finishing P8 overall, was number 8, Mark Lawrence. 9th for Carl Watts and 10th for Jack Rigg. Sadly, Zach Parkinson and Elliot Stanley failed to finish. And even more sadly, Sam Faulkner and Dave Burns failed to start. So that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the pre-finals here at the second round of the 2020 Daniel Ricciardo Series. So there is a look at the dummy grid as the DRS125 drivers get themselves lined up. And it's going to be Patrick Lay on pole position with Dan Walden in P2. Matthew Pierce, Rissington race winner and championship leader, starts third alongside Tyrone Stansfield. Samuel Cunliffe and Sam Faulkner due to start 6th. And is Faulkner back out there? No, he saved his tyres. Yes, I think he is. He saved his tyres in the last race. So he is out there now on the outside of row number 3. Corey Lane and Elliot Stanley are next. Mark Lawrence and Tom Snape round out the top 10. Jack Rigg and Carl Watt are on row number 6. Zach Parkinson is on row 7. And Dave Burns due to start on the outside of row number 7 in 14th place. He didn't take part in the pre-final. And I'm not sure if he is out there for this race either, after taking a bit of a knock in the heat race at the start. So 13 drivers set to hit the circuit for this one. "12 minutes plus a lap." Now, we have either had great battles for victories or great battles for the remaining podium positions in both other classes so far. This is the last race of the day. What have the 125 drivers got in store for us here? Well, Patrick Lay is hoping that they'll have a nice boring race now, lads. Just let me carry on. I'll drive away. I'll get to about 3 seconds up the road. And then you can all start battling amongst yourselves, so the commentator's got something to get excited about. But if we could do that, and the other drivers are thinking, I doubt it. And of course, with Sam Faulkner there, he's starting 6th, but of course he didn't go out in the pre-final. His tyres are that much better off than everybody else's. Let's see if that will become a factor. Well, firstly, let's make sure that all the drivers get through the first couple of corners cleanly, that there's no incidents or accidents, and that we can all go and have a nice little go-kart race after that. And a big thank you to everybody in the paddock once again for wearing masks wherever you go. I know it has been hard, especially when the weather's so nice. I was trying to vape earlier on and got told off by the COVID officer for having my mask down while I was having an e-cig. So there have been plenty of people here to make sure that we abide by the rules, and I have to say a big thank you to everybody for abiding by the rules. So here we go then, for the final time today at Clay Pigeon Raceway. The karts are released onto the circuit. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 of them, so no Dave Burns, sadly. Patrick Lay in kart 175. Dan Walden in kart number 6 will have top spot, have the front row of the grid. Then it's Ty Stansfield and Matthew Pearce on row 2 with Sam Faulkner inside of, on the outside of row 3. 2 rolling laps, 12 minutes plus 1 lap, final itself. So here we go. Out of the horseshoe, into turn number 6. Patrick Lay brings them now up to top bend. They're in their 2 lines. They'll come into the tram lines now on the start-finish straight. Engine notes rise. We're off and racing. Patrick Lay gets jumped to start by Dan Walden. Walden squeezes Lay to the inside and Dan Walden takes the lead. From the outside of row number 1, Walden takes the lead, and that's somebody, Tom Snape, going over the grass. Zach Parkinson also going over the grass. And there's Sam Faulkner in the 4th place, the pole sitter. He's down to 3rd. Out the top bend, Dan Walden has the lead. Ty Stansfield, it's the best start we've seen Ty make all day. He is into P2. Patrick Lay down to 3rd. Sam Faulkner there in 4th place. Behind Faulkner, it looks like it is the number 2 kart of Matthew Pearce, is that? Yes, it is. So Pearce is there in 5th. 6th is number 304 kart of Corey Elaine. Or is that, no, that's Carl Watt, sorry. No, sorry, it's Sam Cunliffe, sorry, in kart number 304. I do apologise, he's in 6th position. But Walden under pressure. Here comes Stansfield. Then it's Lay. Then it is Faulkner in 4th. Now, Patrick Lay under pressure from Sam Faulkner. But we don't want to get involved in too much of a battle because we've only got 10 minutes to go. Dan Walden will be trying to break away at every single opportunity. Behind Cunliffe, we've got Elliot Stanley in 7th, Mark Lawrence in 8th, Jack Rigg is 9th, Carl Watt 10th. And then the drivers that have had that problem at the start, Zach Parkinson, Thomas Snape and Corey Elaine. That Corey Elaine off the back of the pack at the moment. There's a couple of karts that had that spin going through the S's on the opening lap. We've got a nice 4-kart lead group led by number 6, Dan Walden. Only 9th at Rissington. And there's Patrick Lay making a move. Oh, he dives at the inside. Kart sideways in the braking. Great kart control by Patrick Lay. He passes Ty Stansfield for P2. Sam Faulkner watching and waiting. Faulkner looks to the inside. No. Comes through top bend. The battling going on here. Don't forget Pearce in 5th and Cunliffe in 6th. They're not out of this one yet either. So Patrick Lay sets a new personal best lap for him. 35.771 as he tries to chase down Dan Walden. Walden, of course, got the drop on him at the start. And you can see Lay hunching down behind the wheel. And there's a move by Faulkner on the inside to Stansfield going through the hairpin. Stansfield standing firm, though. And Stansfield has the inside line for the run around the horseshoe bend. So Faulkner has to fall back into line. And look how much closer that has brought Pearce and Cunliffe into play. So still 6 drivers in the lead group at the moment. Stanley is 7th, Lawrence is 8th. Then it's Rigg, Watt, Parkinson, Snape and Elaine. So can Sam Faulkner do it again? Out of the Sturmey straight, onto the Sturmey straight we go. We look to the inside like he did on Stansfield a lap ago. No, Stansfield just a little bit too quick for him. And Stansfield is now going to sort of get his rhythm back and get off after these 2 leaders. What he's going to be hoping, Ty Stansfield, in 3rd place, is that Lay and Walden battle side by side through at least 1 corner, which will allow him the chance to catch up, use that momentum, and then maybe slipstream past them both if they get onto a straight. But of course, Sam Faulkner doesn't want to play that game. He's going to try and get his nose in front of Stansfield as well. But Lay right with the race leader. And look at Pierce and Cunliffe, 1.5 seconds separating the top 6 on this lap number 7. We've still got 8 minutes plus a lap to go, and just under half the field, 6 out of 13 cars have still got a chance at victory at the moment. On to another lap they go. Walden, Lay, Stansfield. This is as close as Ty Stansfield be, but Patrick Lay's going to go for it. Oh, Lay loses it on the inside. Lay went for the move at the inside of Billy's, and then he realised he's not going to get the kart slowed down. He locked up a rear brake. He just caught that brake a fraction too hard and did a half spin. He gets going again, but Patrick Lay, the pole man, who won the pre-final in a dominant fashion, now finds himself out of contention, and Dan Walden has suddenly got a 10 kart length lead. I'm looking down to see where Patrick Lay rejoined the race. We've got a 5 kart effectively battle. Patrick Lay, kicking himself, is down in 8th position. Well, 7 minutes to go. Patrick Lay at the moment is 5.518 seconds behind your race leader, Dan Walden, in kart number 6. Walden, well, Walden can win this one if he can just keep Stansfield at bay. Patrick Lay, I'll be praying now that Faulkner and Stansfield and Pierce and Cunliffe can all catch Dan Walden and draw him into a nice big battle, and then all slow each other down. Patrick Lay crosses in front of the commentary box now, just behind Elliot Stanley and Mark Lawrence. He's going to try and get past Lawrence as they come through this. So we've got the first 5 karts on your screen coming down the Sturmey straight now. And then just coming on the Sturmey straight is 6th, 7th and 8th place. And that is Stanley in 6th, Lawrence in 7th and Lay in 8th. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Jack Rigg in 9th, Carl Watt 10th, Parkinson 11th, Snape 12th and Elaine in 13th. Still, Walden is able to hold on to a 3/4 of a second lead. Faulkner has finally got past Stansfield. Now, can those newer, fresher tyres, they're all, fresher tyres of Sam Faulkner, make any inroads into race leader Dan Walden? Stansfield has got to try and hang with Faulkner now. Can't let him get away. Pierce clinging on to 4th. Cunliffe doing a great job in 5th position. Sam Cunliffe, he looks like comfortable sitting behind there. And then here's the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th. Lay is up to 7th place now. It's number 279, Elliot Stanley in 6th position. Lawrence 6.4 seconds behind race leader Dan Walden now. So Lay is losing time trying to get through this group of karts. He's passed the brake kart to Mark Lawrence. Then Jack Rigg is behind him. Carl Watt behind Rigg. And Parkinson is next along. Lay to the inside of Stanley. Takes over 6th position. Now Patrick Lay's got clean track in front of him. Head down, pushing on. He's got 5 minutes to make up 6.5 seconds to catch the leader. And of course, there's Faulkner, Stansfield, Pierce and Cunliffe between him, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Let's see if the leaders start slowing each other down, because Faulkner has caught Dan Walden. Will we see Faulkner look to the inside into Billy's? Walden's going to have to start defending, and if Walden starts defending, then that's going to slow them all down, and that is the only chance that Patrick Lay's got of salvaging a potential podium. Here comes Faulkner to the inside of the hairpin, easy as you like. Sam Faulkner takes the lead. Can Dan Walden fight straight back? Dan Walden comes through turn 6 into top bend. Walden has got to get a good run on this straight, stroke turn, stroke bend down towards Billy's blind and get at the inside of Sam Faulkner. He's looking, but Faulkner has enough of momentum on the outside line to hold him off. Stansfield is right there in third place. Pierce has fallen away a little bit in fourth. Cunliffe has fallen back a little bit in fifth. Lay, while the gap to the leader is down to 5.7 seconds, so Lay is closing on the leader, but of course Sam Faulkner now is untroubled. Walden has got to get back on terms with the number 1 plate cars. But if Walden doesn't go now, he's never going to go. He needs to get in that slipstream, and it looks like Faulkner inch perfect. Well, Faulkner said in his interview that we played earlier on today that seat time is all important. Nobody's had more seat time over the years than Sam Faulkner. Of course, not so much now, but you know, he said it's quite easy to do well, but then it's very difficult to master. You know, this championship, this fixed gearing for each round. Same chassis, same engine, so Faulkner has got looking so calm and collected. Walden, though, still in a second place is a great result. Patrick Lay only 5.4 seconds behind Faulkner. I tell you what, Patrick Lay, just under 3 minutes to go. Sam Cunliffe there in kart number 304 at the back of this group in 5th position. He can't ease up too much. He can't relax because Patrick Lay, while the red mist has descended upon Patrick Lay after that mistake he made, and he is charging. Cunliffe checked over his shoulder to see where he is, and Patrick Lay, well, he's gained a full second on Sam Faulkner in the last 3 laps. Sam Faulkner being your leader and Patrick Lay being your 6th place kart. Number 4. There is Patrick Lay coming onto your screens there. He comes out of the hairpin, so you've got the 6th kart of Walden in 2nd, the 3 of Stansfield in 3rd, the number 2 of Matthew Pierce in 4th, then the 304 of Cunliffe in 5th, and there, just briefly, was Patrick Lay in kart 175, running in 6th position like an absolute freight train. Patrick Lay. Lawrence still runs 7th, new fastest lap for Patrick Lay, 35.250 seconds. So, well, it doesn't look as though anyone's going to hold the candle to Sam Faulkner. Faulkner can now just control the pace nicely at the front. Lawrence 7th, Stanley 8th, Rigg 9th, Watts 10th, Parkinson 11th, Snape 12th, and Elaine 13th. And you can say, oh, well, Patrick Lay can see the number 304 kart of Corey Elaine getting closer and closer and closer. The question is he going to run out of time? We're on lap number 19 now. We've got just over a minute plus 1 lap of racing to go. Through the hairpin, now into the horseshoe. The main battle looks like it's going to be between number 6 Dan Walden and number 3 Ty Stansfield for 2nd place, because Sam Faulkner, well, he has been very, very fast on the track, extremely tactical off the track. He missed the pre-final, don't forget, did Sam Faulkner. He knew that he had done the way the grid system works, that the final grid is not decided just on the results of the pre-final. It's decided on all the points you gain in qualifying, heat races and pre-finals. He'd had 2 decent results and he didn't go out, so he effectively got 13th place points for the pre-final. You have to give him 6th place on the grid for the final, but his tyres had done 8 minutes plus a lap, or about 15 or 16 laps less work than everybody else's. He was able to tactically use that to his advantage, and of course there will be a school of thought that thinks, well, you know, that's not very sporting, is it? You want to come and do all the races. What if all the drivers decide to save their tyres to the final? There'd be not much racing going on. And there is that. But then there's other drivers saying, look, these are the rules. I read the rule book. This is how I'm going to use it to my advantage. I've got to try and win all the finals. As we start the last lap now, and look how much closer Patrick Lay has got to the rear of Sam Cunliffe. But I don't think it's going to be enough. There goes Lay, really absolutely hooning it through Billy's there. Cunliffe checks over his shoulder. Oh my word, look, where did you come from? Back end of the cart, hanging out by Patrick Lay. and into the horseshoe, but it's going to be Sam Faulkner who takes the win. Can Patrick Lay put a last gasp move on Cunliffe for 5th position? Oh my, well, if the race went half a lap longer, I think Cunliffe would have been in trouble. Faulkner takes the win. 2nd for Dan Walden, 3rd for Ty Stansfield. Pierce comes home in 4th, Cunliffe in 5th, while Patrick Lay was 6.4 seconds behind Sam Faulkner. He gained 2 seconds on Sam Faulkner to finish 6th, but I mean, what a final half of the race for Patrick Lay. Just one mistake cost him. Behind Patrick Lay, Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence finishes a great 7th for Mark. Elliot Stanley comes home in 8th. 9th for Jack Rigg, 10th for Carl Watt, 11th for Zach Parkinson, Tom Snape in 12th, Corey Elaine is 13th, but Sam Faulkner, on his seasonal debut, he takes the win as he tries to secure another championship victory. Of course, Matthew Pierce, the Racington winner, only finishing in 4th place. But of course, the main story of that was Patrick Lay spinning down to what was, he spun briefly down to 9th position, and he was at 1 point 6.5 seconds behind the race leader. He came through to finish 6th. He was only 4.5 seconds behind the race leader then, and if another race had gone another corner or two, he might have grabbed a top 5 away from Sam Cunliffe. That's Sam's best result since moving out of DRS 100.